Hello, welcome back to the Wrestling Newsroom. I'm your host, All Things Wrestling, and today we're going to be looking at all the wrestling news from Saturday. We start with a story involving Dolph Ziggler. He was on a recent edition of the Tom Selleck Show, and he was critical of how long it took US President Donald Trump to respond to the violence in Charlottesville, VA. I think, had this been obviously huge or ridiculous tragedy happened, had he said minutes later, this is garbage, this will not be tolerated, called out Nazis, white supremacists, period, that's it. The next day, anyone would have been like, oh, well, he's calling them out now. They got him elected, but he's giving a little wink and just wanted to let this slide. I see it too much. Oh, Dolph, calling out Donald. He's a Hall of Famer, dude. You can't be calling out a WWE Hall of Famer. That ain't going to go well with Vince McMahon. This really isn't going to go down well with Vince McMahon because Linda's in the administration. Dolph's going to get murdered. Okay, moving on. And GFW has published a video hyping up next week's Impact Wrestling debut of former WWE star John Morrison, now going as Johnny Impact. It's weird because isn't he a surprise entrance? A surprise entrant in the Battle Royale thing? No, I guess not. I guess he's not a surprise anymore. Good job, GFW, ruining your surprise entrant. And now there is speculation that Adam Cole will be appearing at the NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3 event tonight. He was spotted in Orlando at the airport with several other NXT talents that were flying to Brooklyn, including Johnny Gargano and Roderick Strong. Adam Cole's gonna appear. He's gonna challenge for the NXT Championship. I bet you. He's gonna go after the NXT Championship. I bet you. Drew McIntyre will win it, and then Adam Cole will challenge him. Bet you. And Tyrus has been granted his release from GFW. He went, thank you to Ed Norholm and Impact Wrestling for granting me my release. Wishing the roster and the crew all success. Hashtag Tyrus Smash. Hashtag enough said. Fair enough. He wasn't happy. Maybe he'll be returning back to WWE or going to Ring of Honor or New Japan. He'll definitely be going somewhere else. We'll see Tyrus pop up somewhere soon. And the last story we have is, while appearing on the Edge and Christian podcast, Daniel Bryan spoke in detail about his retirement and possibly wrestling again. He said, so my story starts with the time of my last concussion. He gets cleared by his own doctors, and that isn't enough for WWE. First for WWE, and Vince in particular, forced him to see a hand-picked expert to get testing done on his brain. So they sent him to these doctors that aren't his own doctors, which already cleared him. First of which was a concussion specialist in Phoenix. They cleared him. That wasn't enough for WWE. He asked WWE if they want more, what more they want him to do. He said he would get a third opinion. Then he went to UCLA and getting tested from a team of concussion specialists who had him run a lot of different tests. They cleared him. He comes back to WWE, and yet they say, no, you are not cleared to go, even though 3 independent institutions had already cleared him. 2 of which were doctors WWE chose, and they sent him to go and get some experimental stuff done, testing that isn't even FDA approved. There's some kind of reflex or impacts test, so they hook stuff up to his brain and test that and whatever. So he does that, and they tell him that there's a lesson in a certain region in his brain. So he calls Vince and tells him that he has a lesion on his brain. He says that he was crying when he got off the phone because his career was done. Then the next week, Vince calls him and tells him to come to Raw in Seattle and give a retirement speech. Initially, he didn't want to do it, but he did it because it was convinced that it was the best for him. Really, WWE? Really? This is in bloody black and white right now. You bastards! Oh, I'm going to get flagged for that. After everything dies down, he gets a call from one doctor who originally killed him, and he asks what happened and that made him retire. He tells the doctor that they found a lesion on his brain, and then the doctor tells him that in medical terminology, a lesion does not mean what it usually means. Bryan thought it meant it cut off his brain, but the doctor said it was a medical terminology, a lesion is a very vague term. It just meant something is there, not necessarily a cut or anything like that. Then the doctors looked at the report that said he had a lesion, and what they found was Daniel's brain reflex and the visions were slower than they expected. That's what the report they wrote in is as a lesion. Now here's the really messed up part. That region of his brain has slow reflex compared to the MMA fighters and football players and athletes that they usually get tested at that facility. It did not have any reflex that are slower than what you would expect in a normal human being, and since Daniel Bryan, a performer, not really a sports person, obviously you would expect his reflex time to be closer to an average person and not a high-level sports athlete. In addition to that, they didn't have a baseline on how fast reflexes of that part of his brain used to be, so there's no way of knowing that if there was actually any damage there or if that was just a normal speed in which that region of the brain functioned. He then went to see Joe Nathmath Institute to get more tests done, and they said the brain had no different from the run-of-the-mill football player. He had concussions, but he is not a person at risk of brain damage. He has had even more tests on him for certain tests. They said now that with the time he has had out wrestling and the continued working treatment, his brain could look like someone who'd never even played a contact sport. He said that he is sad looking back because he feels he wasted his prime years of his career. As some people have mentioned, Daniel Bryan said that he's continuing to get healthy with his treatment. He has said categorically that if he found a problem with the legitimate make it unsafe for him to wrestle, he would not do so. Daniel Bryan has said that he understands why WWE did what they did, implying that he feels WWE and doing what they thought that was best. If people are getting the idea from this that he's implying that they personally screwed him, I don't think that's the case. I think it is. And that's Daniel Bryan's take on WWE screwing him right up the arse, taking away his career for no reason whatsoever. I'm annoyed WWE because Daniel Bryan was great. And that was the wrestling news and my little bit of a rant. But as always, if you've enjoyed this episode, please give it a like. Please support me on Patreon. A link in the description below. Subscribe to my content, and I'll catch you later.